Waldorf education looks at the whole child, spiritual, emotional, physical, developmental, academic. The classrooms themselves are very different as well. The teachers in public school focus more on academics, reading, writing, math, and there's a lot of work done at the desk. Waldorf education is a very experiential, integrated curriculum, and so the students are working with their hands and their head and their heart at all times. And so children start their day with singing and poetry, all related usually to the curriculum that they're working with.
Life is clunky, a giant's life is slow, and we all live in Jotunheim, arms nowhere else to go.
All right. It was really very magical. You know, there's not a lot of plastic or fake textiles in these classrooms. There's a lot of natural things. So I think you grow up with that aesthetic perspective too. There's an aliveness and a real joy that you share. And playing with the other kids running around the school during those like free times was it was very magical. This whole environment is structured and built to support creativity, you know, crafts and baking. That's one of the things about Waldorf is that you don't just read a textbook, you know, the main lesson's up on the board, and then the students have to write it out in cursive. So I mean, there is an emphasis on old-fashioned learning in that sense. There's not a lot of technology.
Waldorf education is a lot about the rhythm and about breathing and integration of material. So we have the children, the instruction is brought by the teacher. The children experience it, then they let it rest, then they come back to it, and then they put it in here. And so it helps them integrate the information they've learned. It helps them own the information. Grammar, types of sentences, exclamation, sentence, command, nouns, naming words, verbs or action words.
What we did is, senior night was our Spanish teacher. He gave us these things that he probably made on the computer to that we had to draw it. So since we knew our colors better than everything else, if we're doing the thing, all we can do is remember it in here. And if we're doing that thing, he'll say that color. Like for example, if you're not speaking Spanish, he'll say in Spanish, the red rule, rojo. So that's. And we play Uno a lot. Yeah, but in that case, you have to draw a card. If thinking out the So this is another picture. At the beginning, they're all really funny, like crazy pictures like this one. But as you get on, you can see that they're more like the really cool house, or
one of my favorite parts of Waldorf is this sense, importance of aesthetic and reverence and seeing beauty in everything and bringing beauty to everything. Waldorf schools are not art schools, but we believe in working hard to bring beauty to everything out there.
Tell me first, and then I'll tell you if I think this is all pickle.
Well, last time I thought I was going to make this. Yeah, let's do it.
And so they make these beautiful bags, and they have to make roads, and they have to make rivers, and they have to cross, and the pattern has to be mirror image both ways. And again, it's just about, you just keep going, right? You just go from one, you just keep going until you fill the whole picture. Again, they're not given a pattern, but the children are given the tools to create their own. It's also about process. Children, when they're first learning, they knit this much, and the teacher says, take it all out. They start again. For parents, it's often about product. For the children, it's all about process.
the satisfaction of completing something, of starting something and carrying it through to completion. And this is one place where we know that the arts can be really valuable. Because they're engaging, because they're rewarding, children will set themselves goals and will actually take the steps to achieve those goals. And that process of setting goals, breaking it down into parts, and then achieving those goals actually helps to build something that we consider critical for education, this notion of executive function. So being able to stay on task, to be able to resist distraction, all of these sorts of things are really critical for later academic success. We traditionally think of education as being fundamentally about the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic, because arts are very hard to quantify, to be able to say this is good or bad, in the same way that we can say an answer to an arithmetic problem is correct or incorrect. It becomes very difficult to develop standardized tests for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the pressure to assess students objectively, it's an expensive process. It takes a lot of time, that you don't have time for the sort of messy, unpredictable learning that happens in the arts. And, you know, the teachers and administrators aren't wrong. They're not being, you know, bad people by prioritizing what our nation has said is a priority for kids. But it's sad that there's not time for, you know, digging into material that isn't cut and dry, black and white, that kids don't get as much time to explore the gray areas. You know, it seems like this program is committed to educating a whole child and not necessarily building specific sets of skills that are going to need to be demonstrated on a test later on, which is really exciting and great. And it does bring up questions about equity in schools, like who has access to these kinds of special learning situations? Is it a private school? Is it a public school? Who gets to go have these experiences? And that's something I'm sort of interested in is, you know, can we have conversations about a cool program like Waldorf when so many kids just can't access it? And how do we put more of those opportunities into environments for kids who don't have those kinds of resources?
One of the challenges of Waldorf education for me right now is that it's an unknown to so many people. Challenge is that it's an independent school rather than a way of thinking for public schools.
We're doing something a little different here. We're not just about teaching knowledge and skills, but really about cultivating a love for learning. One of the things that I love most about this form of education is that it really emphasizes recognizing and working with the uniqueness of each individual child.
The connection to academics may not be clear, but I feel like if you know who you are and you're confident, you're going to be more likely to pursue anything that you're interested in and be more interested in completing research projects in the future or whatever you do.
Building responsible children, children who are responsible to something greater than themselves. Those two aspects I love, and I see it every day.
I mean, no matter what you want to do with your life, I think Waldorf gives you a great start. And other kids are going to be fine too, but I just want to give my daughter what I feel is like the best foundation for her own well-being, confidence, security, and love of life.